Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Starlight Beacon Transmissions Live. This is episode 89 of our show, and got a fun show for you tonight. It's probably going to be a quick show, probably about an hour or so, covering a bunch of topics, but I am also running solo tonight, which is fine, which is absolutely fine. So we will be bringing on some guests next week for our live show. So stay tuned for that. But you're stuck with me tonight, and we are going to be talking about some Star Wars news. We are going to be talking about the latest episode of The Mandalorian, in which I'm going to pose an interesting question to you all. And we are also going to be talking about Disney Lorcana as we had two new cards get revealed this week. So I'm excited about telling you all about that. So let's get into the news here. No announcements this week, but except that Celebration is around the corner, essentially. So there's all that fun stuff. Let's get into it here. Oh yes, we did also get a new we got a new trailer for Jedi Survivor this week. Which is the sequel to Fallen Order. It comes out April 28th. It was actually supposed to be March 17th that it was supposed to come out, but it did get delayed due to them needing to polish it a little bit more. But we are about a month away from the release of Jedi Survivor. Super excited about this. We actually get to see Marin, which is the big character that a lot of people have been asking. We also get to see Grease, and then we get to see one of the new characters too. So very excited about that. Beautiful trailer. Super excited about this game. I am a huge fan of Jedi Fallen Order. I've played through the game 4 times now since it was released, and I gotta tell you, like, I fall more and more in love with that game, the more I play it. It's so much fun, and it's so good, and the story of Cal Kestis is really interesting. Hey, Amanda, how's it going? The story of Cal Kestis is really interesting, and I love seeing him try to reconnect with the Force too, uh, which is which is really cool. And then the crew or his family, the family that he finds on this adventure is just brilliant. And um, like how can you not love Seer or Grease, and how can you not love Marin or BD1 for that reason? Like, I love my Happy Taps buddy. Like, I love my Happy Taps buddy. Speaking of BD1, I have to talk about this real quick as well. Shop Disney in 2 days. 2 days. Shop Disney is going to be releasing a remote control BD1. Uh, so excited to see this. I think he's gonna sell out like as soon as he drops though. Yeah, 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 but then he'll be back. Um, I have a feeling he's probably gonna retail for close to 100. Um, yeah. Well, the mouse droid was 60, but he's smaller. BB-8 retails for 100. CB-23 was 125. R2 retailed for about 100. The protocol droid that they released at Droid Depot retailed for close to 100. And then I believe the battle droid was close to 100 as well. But I do want the battle droid too. I want the battle droid, and of course, I need the BD1. Like I need the BD1. Um, because I just love BD1. He's the best droid. How can you not love Happy Taps? Like seriously. How can you not love Happy Taps? It's the best. So yeah, actually, you're right. It should have been the white from Fallen Order. I agree with that. Um, yeah. So if you haven't seen what he looks like, he's like yellow and black. So yes, him and Chopper are the best. Um, so I mean, you can always repaint him to give him the Fallen Order colors if you wanted, but I get why they're trying to do it too because they want to show like a variety in the BD units. It could also be that they have multiple colors for the units too. So, yes, I will send you. It's shopdisney.com. If you click on the Star Wars link on shopdisney.com, like if when you search brands and you click Star Wars, you'll see it on the front page. Um, you can't get him until Monday. So he isn't even like listed on the page. All you see is the picture of him. So, but I will tell you this as well. Shop Disney does have legacy lightsaber hilts, including the Clone Wars, early Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano hilts. So that's going to be the ones that shine green and yellow. So when you power them up, they'll shine green and yellow. So those are available. I believe Luminara's available, Plo Koon's available. Actually, you know what? I might as well just look at Shop Disney right now while I have you all on the stream. Let's see here. Yeah, under brands, and then we see all of the. There we go. Star Wars. So yes, we have the Galaxy's Edge lightsaber hilts. BD1 will be available March 27th at 7 a.m. Pacific, so that's going to be 10 a.m. Eastern for those of you on the East Coast. So the legacy hilts that they have, excuse me one second here. So they have Rey's new lightsaber hilt from the end of Rise of Skywalker. They have the early Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano legacy hilt, Plo Koon's legacy hilt. That's actually on sale right now for 118.99. They have Leia's lightsaber hilt also on sale. And then they also have the Darth Sidious lightsaber hilt. They also have the reforged Skywalker lightsaber hilt, as well as the dark saber, and then you can get Obi-Wan Kenobi's lightsaber hilt with a blade for 249.99, and you can get Mace Windu's legacy lightsaber hilt with a blade as well for 249.99. Oh wow, they still have they have Darth Sidious's lightsaber, or no, not Darth Sidious, Darth Tyrannus's lightsaber hilt. Darth Tyrannus is Count Dooku. So they have his Sith lightsaber hilt. They also have Maul's Shadow Collective lightsaber hilt. You can get the Skywalker Legacy saber with a blade for 249, and then you can also get a Darth Vader Legacy lightsaber with a blade for 249 as well. So check out Shop Disney. Let me see here. Hey, Farm Boy, how's it going? Can cross over to have Pelimoto's BD7 too. Yes, that would be really cool too. So shopdisney.com, be there on Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific to try to get your BD1. I am not going to be doing this. I will wait for the initial wave to be over and then I'll pick it up. Huh? Also, money because we have many things being planned right now. So we kind of have to save a little bit of money. Awesome Con is not going to be, Awesome Con's not going to pay for itself. Just saying. So let's move on here. We had a recent interview with Katie Sackhoff about Bo-Katan and the evolution of the character, which was really interesting. So I would definitely check that out at starwars.com. Uh, our very good friend Kristen Baver did that interview. If you don't love Kristen Baver, there's something wrong with you. She's an amazing Star Wars content creator for Lucasfilm, and she hosts This Week in Star Wars. She wrote the High Republic art book. Let's see here. Oh, we've got another fun thing here. You can recreate the yellow travel biscuits from the Mandalorian. Yes. Hey Des, how's it going? Yes, you can make the yellow travel biscuits from the Mandalorian. Let's see here. You need 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/2 teaspoon baking powder. You better be writing this down. Half a teaspoon. Yeah. Yes, that's right. You are making banana bread. Half teaspoon ground ginger, 1/4 teaspoon salt, half a cup 1 stick butter soften, 8 ounces of cream cheese soften, 1 cup of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of lemon zest, 2 teaspoons of rose water, 1 egg, and 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar. Those are, yeah, those are the ingredients. Step one: in a large bowl, whisk the flour, baking powder, ginger, and salt. Set aside in the bowl of an electric mixer, stir the butter, cream cheese, sugar, and lemon zest. Add the rose water and egg, then slowly add the dry ingredients just until the dough comes together. Step four: wrap the dough in plastic wrap and refrigerate for 30 minutes. Preheat the oven to 350 degrees. Prep baking sheets with parchment paper. Roll out the dough to about a 1/4 inch thick. Use a cookie cutter to cut out 3 by 3 inch squares. Transfer onto the baking sheets. Bake for 15 minutes. Let cool on a wire rack. Dust the confectioners with sugar, or dust with confectioner's sugar to serve. A taste of the empire. So those are your steps if you want to make the yellow travel biscuits. Yeah, I think it should have been a shortbread also, honestly, but that's just how I feel. All right, so let's actually, I'm not going to talk about that because that ties into the Mandalorian real quick, and we do save our Mandalorian recaps for last. But speaking of more Star Wars news, finally got this little bitty in the mail. This is the Chronicles of the Jedi, an illustrated guide to the galaxy's golden age. Think of this as an in-universe guide to the Jedi of the High Republic. Um, so happy to have this. I love these in-universe guides, by the way. I have the Traveler's Guide to Batuu, and I love it. It's so good. And if you've never been to Batuu, like, it tells you about it. And this is just really cool. So let me see here. Like, it even has concept art of like the Star Hopper and everything. Um Let me see here. Oh, here's Imri and Vanestra. Okay, I'll show them. Oh. uh let's see here. Oh, and then we also have the Jedi from Batuu. This is Adi Sunzi, something like that. And then here you have an illustrated bit of her standing at the spires of Batuu. So that's really cool. Disney, you've told us that there was a Jedi outpost on Batuu. Please, please expand Galaxy's Edge to showcase that outpost. I think it would work really, really well, and people would go to it. So definitely check this out. This is, like I said, Chronicles of the Jedi, an illustrated guide to the galaxy's golden age. So check this out. Then the missus um, wanted me to show you this shirt that she got. This is from a fan of, which is a nerdy clothing company, and uh, it's from Rebels, and it's Kenobi. You can't say the name without saying it like that if you're angry. So that's really cool. Check out a fan of, get your Kenobi t-shirts because they're really cool. I like the old Jedi Handbook and Sith Handbook that also came in holocrons. Yeah, those were really cool. The Sith one came in a holocron, and then the Jedi one came like in like a silver case or something. And it was really, really cool. So let's move on here before we get to the Mandalorian. I'm gonna geek out about Lorcana again because why not? I'm obsessed with this game and I don't even have it in my hands yet because that's how cool this game is and that's how big of a Disney fan I am. Let's see here. We got 2 card reveals this week. Not going to showcase these yet. I'm sorry. My cat just did something really funny and it just made me break character for a second. So you have to excuse me. Let's see here. So we got 2 characters, 2 card reveals. So this is a Ruby card. We got Tigger, and it's it's Tigger, wonderful thing. So Tigger is a 6 cost. He is a 4/4, so he's going to have 4 attack, 4 defense. He's a Storyborn and a Tigger. And he does have an ability that you can use called Evasive. Only characters with Evasive can challenge this character. So that's really interesting. So this is going to pretty much change the game. He's going to be a great mid to late game card to play to counteract a lot of these challenges. So your challenges are going to be like when characters attack each other like in Magic or when Pokemon attack each other in the Pokemon trading card game. But with this evasive action, it's going to make attacking Tigger difficult, and it's also going to spare your Illumineer, which is you, a little bit of it's going to give you a little bit of time to formulate plans. So Tigger is definitely a game changer here, and it's going to be really interesting to see how he is going to come into play, especially like in these Ruby and Emerald decks. So I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out. Our next card that we got was, if you are a Cinderella fan, this is huge as well. We have Lady Tremaine that was just revealed. As you know, or if you don't know, Lady Tremaine is the stepmother from Cinderella, the wicked stepmother, actually. And it actually has that code word underneath. So it says Lady Tremaine, Wicked Stepmother, Dreamborn, and Villain are the keywords for that. So she is a 6 cost. So she's going to cost you 6 points. She is a 1/5. So she only has 1 attack, but she has 5 defense. So she's a pretty solid meat shield for you, as well as uh Uh, well, I'll get to what her key thing that she can do here is. So she has an ability called Do It Again, and it says when you play this character, you may return an action card from your discard to your hand. That is huge, especially if you have that Dragonfire card and you really need to get rid of a heavy hitter. It's really, really good that you can play Lady Tremaine, tap the do it again, and then I mean, you'll probably have to wait a turn because I'm not sure how like cooldowns work like you see in Magic as well as like Pokemon. But this is a great ability because you can actually clear the board pretty quickly. Well, clear the board of a big threat quickly. So keep that in mind when you're building these decks, especially for Lorcana. It looks like a lot of green is, so far, it looks like green is kind of like blue in Magic, where you get a lot of like high cost cards, but they have a lot of counters to them. So if you're trying to build your deck around that, like go for it. Like build it around the counters. Now we've been told though with this that now we've been told with this game your decks will actually have two colors. So, like I said last time, the starter decks are like one of them is green for Emerald, and then you have Ruby. Then you have Steel and Sapphire, and then I am so sorry I'm blanking on the last one. I apologize. But you have those three combinations, so you really need to build around these colors. Oh no, it was no, I already said Steel and Sapphire. Never mind. But yeah, you really need to build around these characters and like really concentrate on what it is that you want to do with these decks. If you want to run counters while also hitting hard, this is the way to do it because you can, like I said, you can clear the board. So those are the two cards that we got. We are still waiting for more. I'm pretty sure that this week they're going to give us more. I mean, all of us tweet at Lorcana all the time saying like, "Okay, you've got something. What's it going to be? Like what are you going to give us this week?" Um but we'll see. We'll see. Keep in mind this game does come out August this game comes out August 18th at your local game stores. And then you can also pick this up at big box retailers on September 1st. If you are going to Gen Con in Indy in the middle of, well, in the beginning of August, you will actually be able to pick this game up from Ravensburger as well at their booth. So keep that in mind. I got nothing else to say. I'm excited for this game. I think it's going to be so much fun. And I really feel like we have a rival, like a true rival to like Magic and Pokemon now. I mean, Yu-Gi-Oh has always been in that mix, but like you don't hear a lot of people talk about Yu-Gi-Oh as much as you hear about Magic and Pokemon. And now it's like Ravensburger is like, well, Disney's huge. They're pretty much everybody's a Disney fan. Here's a card game for you. Okay, yeah, as the Disney fan, I'm cool with this. So we don't know if we're going to see Pixar characters yet. I believe we're going to see them eventually, and I don't think we're not going to see any Marvel characters or Star Wars characters for a long time, which is fine with me. Seriously, that's fine with me. Because here's the thing, you've already got a Marvel trading card game or a Marvel collectible card game called Marvel Champions, which if you haven't played Marvel Champions, you should. It is a lot of fun and it's a great game. When it comes to Star Wars, Fantasy Flight just released a Star Wars deck building game. So they're going to have that for a long time and they're going to be pumping out expansions for that for a while, so don't expect to see Marvel or Star Wars. Keep in mind, but here's another thing. Ravensburger does have these Star Wars and Marvel licenses for their villainous products. So, like I said, eventually down the line, we could see Marvel characters and Star Wars characters, but don't hold your breath right now. It's pretty much going to be Disney with a possibly Pixar later on down the line. So just keep that in mind. If they do Tron, I think that that would be really cool too. And I have a feeling like we could possibly. My big prediction here is we're going to get Kingdom Hearts characters in this game too. I just have a feeling we're going to get characters like Sora and Riku and Kairi and Terra and Aqua and Ventus and Roxas, like all of those characters. So I'm predicting that that's what we're going to get. So, but we'll see. We'll see. I mean, we don't know. We won't know until we actually get this game in our hands. So, uh, yeah, get ready for Lorcana. It's going to be so much fun. All right, let's move on here and talk about the Mandalorian now, which this week's episode was really good. I'm going to give you my spoiler free thoughts real quick before I dive into this episode. Uh, Spoiler free thoughts. Really enjoyed this. I thought it was a lot of fun. It really opens up a lot for a couple of characters. I'm going to get to that point here in just a second. And it was just cool to see Mandalorians do Mandalorian stuff. And now I'm going to get into my spoiler thoughts as well as my as well as like doing a spoiler breakdown here. So this opens with Din Djarin and Bo-Katan with the Children of the Watch. Well, and Grogu. I can't forget Grogu. With the children. Yes, Grogu is part of the Children of the Watch. He is a foundling. Oh, by the way, this chapter is called The Foundling. And this will actually deal with three characters. You can actually call three of these characters foundlings. So, of course, we're talking Grogu, right? Because a lot of us, I mean, we said last week we're getting the Order 66 flashback. We'll see what's going on with that. So, of course, this is going to surround Grogu. Now, as we go into the beginning here, we have Din Djarin have Grogu challenge Ragnar, which is one of the new members of the Children of the Watch. He's another foundling. He's actually Paz Vizsla's son. And they Din pretty much says, "Hey, I'm gonna my kid's gonna beat your kid in a paintball contest." And so you have Ragnar and Grogu face off against each other in pretty much a paintball fight, and it's the first to three. So like they had the dart gauntlets. So like if you shot, you only had three shots. So Ragnar takes two and hits Grogu, and then Grogu like turns around and looks at Din, and Din like leans down and he goes, "You know what to do." Like, yes, it was paintball, Ian. It was paintball, bud. Uh, yeah, Din's like, you know what to do. Show them what you can do. So Grogu hops, distracts Ragnar, hops again, distracting Ragnar, and then hits him three times with the paint and wins the match. And then while Ragnar is getting cleaned up, a raptor, not the dinosaur, but this flying pterodactyl creature. Yeah, it was great, Ian. It was so great. Um this raptor comes in, swoops up and picks up Ragnar, and the Mandalorians give chase with their jetpacks until their jetpacks run out of fuel. And then Bo Katan goes, "I got it." And she chases the raptor down with her spaceship, ends up parking, ends up scouting everything, and then comes back and says, "Hey, we need to form a hunting party and we need to attack the raptor's nest." and bring Ragnar back. So they go out on this hunting party, and then what we get is after they leave, the armorer looks at Grogu and says, "Come on, come Grogu. There's much work to be done." And so we see Grogu learning from the armorer. So is the kid hanging out in its gullet overnight? I think the kid's hanging out in its gullet overnight. Like, what do you think? Like, it didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. But we're getting there. So the armor is teaching Grogu about Mandalorian culture, and she's talking about Beskar and how Beskar is molded to its wearers, and how each member of the Children of the Watch is molded to be a part of the armor of the Children of the Watch, so to speak. And so Grogu gets this is a really cool callback to season 1. Grogu's watching the armorer's forge, and as he's watching the armorer's forge, he flashes back to the night of Order 66 and when he's in the Jedi Temple. And we see 4 Jedi protecting him, and 2 of them go down real quick, and then 2 more get him to this elevator, and then they both go down. And then as Grogu's elevator gets to where it needs to go, the doors open, and standing in front of the doors is Jedi Master Kelleran Beck from the Star Wars Kids YouTube game show Jedi Temple Challenge. And I got to tell you, he was a great game show host, and that was a great show. It was a lot of fun. So it's really cool to see Kelleran Beck back. He is actually nicknamed the Sabered Hand, and he shows that in such a huge way in this sequence. Like he takes down like 15 clone troopers like in this whole sequence. Yes. Yes, Ian. Yes. Kelleran Beck was a game show host. And he's played by Ahmed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks. And I gotta okay, before we get into this chase sequence here, actually, I'll get into the chase sequence and then I'll share my thoughts on this. The chase sequence is amazing, and it takes you through all a good chunk of Coruscant, and they're being chased by Republic gunships. Yeah, yeah, it's great. It's so cool. Um, yeah, some of the effects are yeah. Well, no, Ian's like, that's amazing that he's from something else. But yeah, some of the effects during the chase are pretty cheesy, but it's really cool. But the thing is that they go all through Coruscant, and it's really cool them being chased down by these gunships and everything, and then they crash on this landing platform, and they're helped by soldiers from Naboo, which I think is really cool, and they escape in a Nubian yacht. And you speculate, well, who sent the yacht? Because at this point, Padme still is alive. Because she witnesses Order 66 from a distance. So it could have been Padme, it could have been Jar Jar, it could have been Bail Organa. Yeah, because Bail actually ends up at the temple during that time. When the one Padawan tries to like make his last stand and then gets cut down. Um, so there's a lot of speculation there, but you gotta that chase was scene was very Fifth Element, and I loved it. Yeah, yeah, it is a little Fifth Element, but it's a lot of fun. So they escape, and then we flash back to, or we flash forward to the present day, where Yoda is actually being, or not Yoda, yeah, where Grogu It's Naboo guards and a Naboo ship, yeah. Um, but I believe they're called Nubians. I believe they're called Nubians. Well, no, because Watto says Nubian. Yeah. Anyway, I know. Naboo. Sorry, I'll say Naboo. I apologize. I don't want to offend anybody, so I'm saying Naboo. Um, I really do apologize. So we flash forward to present day where Grogu is actually being fitted with his very first piece of Mandalorian armor, and it is this symbol of the Mudhorn, because that's his adopted dad's symbol now, and it's really neat. So we go from there to the hunting party that's tracking down the raptor, and they find the nest, but then they decide to camp for the night. And when they do, they all break off like off into different directions so that they can eat, because remember, the children of the watch, you cannot remove your helmet in front of other people, um like other Mandalorians, so you have to keep them on. So Bo-Katan is thinking about that, and she respects them and does the stuff with that. So it's really interesting to see. And then we get to the assault on on the nest, and I got to tell you, it's great, because as Ian said, R- Ragnar was in this monster's gullet the entire night, and we find out that it's feeding time for its babies. So Ragnar is about to be lunch, and then the Mandalorians sweep in or sweep in to save the day. They take out the raptor. They save they save Ragnar, and then we find out that Ragnar is Paz Vizsla's son, and it's really cool to see that interaction. And then we yeah, that's true too. Because it could be a whole Din and Grogu situation too. Yeah. Um but anyway, so we see them come back, and the hunting party's victorious, but we also see that Bo-Katan loses one of her pauldrons on her armor, so she needs to get a new pauldron. And so her and the armorer go back into the armorer's forge, and Bo-Katan asks, "Is it possible to have one pauldron that has the night owl, which is the symbol of my clan, and then another pauldron to have the mythosaur?" And then the armorer says, "Well, the mythosaur is for all Mandalorians, so yes, it is acceptable to wear that as a pauldron." What? Oh, that's really cool. Are those Funkos? All right, so real quick, the breaking news out of WonderCon, from the Funko panel. You can call him Baby Yoda. We won't mind. Thank you, Ian. Breaking news from WonderCon Funko panel. We have 6 new Funko Pops that are coming out. These are actually vehicle Funko Pops that have characters in them. So the first one is we have Ahsoka Tano in a Delta 7 Jedi Starfighter. Those are the original Jedi Starfighters that you see in Attack of the Clones, during Obi-Wan and Jango Fett's chase. The Mandalorian in the N1 Starfighter with Grogu. Obi-Wan Kenobi in the Delta 7 Starfighter. Luke in his T-47 Airspeeder, so that's the snow speeder. Anakin in the Naboo Starfighter. And our final one, I love this one so much, and this is the one I really want to get. Hera Syndulla in an X-Wing. I freaking love Hera Syndulla. Great character. Star Wars Rebels is amazing. If you haven't watched it, you should. So that's breaking news. Anyway, going back to what I was talking about here with Bo-Katan and her pauldrons. So she gets the new pauldron with the Mythosaur logo. Yes, Anakin in the Naboo Starfighter. Definitely need to get that too. Actually, I want all six. I want all six because they're all cool. But I'll have to see what they look like when they do come out because Funko's been a little hit or miss on their sculpts as well as their paints lately. So that's just something they have to keep in mind. Anyway, back to the pauldron. Um, we have the final shot is Bo-Katan looking at the Mythosaur logo on the far cave of the armor on the far wall of the cave that the armorer's forge is in. And this to me cemented that she is the third foundling, but I'm going to say this right now and for those of you watching live, this is about to blow your mind in the best way. She is the title character of this show. She is the Mandalorian. This is now Bo-Katan's show. I know a lot of you are going to be like, "Well, no, 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 it's Din Djarin." I get where you're coming from, but they are cementing so much with Bo-Katan, and they are developing her character so well that this has become her show, and it's rightfully earned and rightfully deserved for her. It really is. We are seeing Bo-Katan step into leadership now. Din Djarin didn't see the Mythosaur. She did. She is going to be the chosen leader of Mandalore, and she is going to tame that Mythosaur. She's going to. And she's going to restart that whole entire culture. She's going to ride it like a Rancor. Like Boba Fett did. But yes, this is her show. This isn't Din Djarin's show anymore. This is Bo-Katan's show. And I know a lot of people are going to be pissed off to hear me say that, but it's the truth. That's what I'm seeing. That's the groundwork we're getting with this season. It took us a while to get there, but now that we're here, oh my God, did they break the formula of this show in the best way possible? They really did. We're not doing stupid side quests anymore that are like, yeah, you got to go and get that thing for that dude and then take it to that guy and then you take that dude over there the other thing. No, we're not doing that. I thought Baby Yoda was the Mandalorian now. Baby Yoda is a Mandalorian, but he's not the Mandalorian. The Mandalorian is Bo-Katan. Katie Sackhoff is my favorite actor in this season. Katie Sackhoff is so good in this season. She really is. I I will tell you this right now. Between this season of The Mandalorian and the entire first season of Andor, we have had some of the best acting in Star Wars between Andor season 1 and Mandalorian season 3. Honestly, we have. Now getting to actors, I want to talk about Ahmed Best. Oh yeah, she was totally amazing in Battlestar Galactica. Absolutely. She's so good in that show. Which if you haven't seen Battlestar, do it. It's incredible. It's so good. Think of it as like 24 in space, essentially. In space. Um, stop it. Stop breaking me. Between you and the cat. Stop it. Anyway, going back to this now. I want to talk about Ahmed Best, and I gotta talk to you about how awesome it is to see him reprise this role, number one, as Kelleran Beck, but to see him become such a pivotal character in Star Wars. Like, seriously, The dude deserves all of the love and the praise that he is getting. But you know what? He deserved all of that love and that praise back in 99 for playing Jar Jar. I know he could be an annoying character sometimes, but let me tell you something. The fandom should not have done what they did to that poor man. Like seriously, you're going to do death threats to the guy. You're going to bully him till he's suicidal. Really? You all ought to be ashamed of yourselves, especially the ones that are jumping on the bandwagon now that have been like, well, I've always been a fan of Ahmed Best. No, you haven't. Some of you might have. Some of you might have. But for those of you that bullied him and you're now on his bandwagon and you're now his champion, you ought to be ashamed of yourselves. You ought to be ashamed of yourselves. That man did nothing wrong except be a character that was beloved by children. He was beloved by many children because keep in mind, while Star Wars is very political, especially now, it was also a franchise about space wizards for children. So keep that in mind the next time you decide to bully a Star Wars actor. Anybody in the Star Wars fandom. Keep that in mind. Oh, I caught when the Jedi said get him to Kelleran. I thought that that was awesome. I was like, oh, we're getting Kelleran back. And then sure enough, those doors open. And let me tell you, Ahmed Best is a freaking martial arts beast in that scene, man. And you know what? Kelleran Beck is called the Sabered Hand for a reason. And that is the reason why he's called the Sabered Hand. Dual wielding lightsabers and taking out clone troopers. That's awesome. Now, I kind of want to take this back to the High Republic real quick because if you've been reading The Blade, which is the current miniseries about Porter Engle, set during Phase 2 of the High Republic, we see how Porter Engle has become quite the master of wielding the lightsaber. My question is because we know Porter Engle has had a long life because keep in mind phase 2 is 150 years before phase 1 of the High Republic, and Porter Engle is kind of like in his 50s or 60s when we get into the High Republic. Like he looks like he's in his 50s or 60s like when we get into the High Republic phase 1. So did he learn how to wield the sabers from Porter Engle? That's going to be my question here, and I would love to hear your feedback about this because I think it's an interesting question to pose, especially with what we're seeing in the Blade miniseries, with Porter Engle just destroying people in a good way. So that's one question that I have here. But it's great to have Ahmed Best back. I love the dude. I think he's an amazing actor. And it was so cool to see him just come back in such a huge way and become a major character in like even more of a major character in this series. It's really cool. He plays 3 prequel era characters. He plays Jar Jar, he plays Kelleran Beck, and he also has a cameo in Attack of the Clones in the bar where they're hunting Zam Wessel. He's hanging out with Anthony Daniels, who's not in C3PO costume. So just keep that in mind. Kelleran? Oh no, no, that flashback's unfinished. We're gonna see where Kelleran took him. Yeah, yeah, we've got to see where Kelleran took him. Now the character that he plays in that cameo is actually the twin brother of Kelleran Beck. It is confirmed. So that's really cool. Could you imagine that Life Day dinner where like they're just sitting there with their mom and their dad, or or their guardians, their family, like their aunts and uncles. They're like, yeah, why can't you be more like your brother Kelleran? Why why are you always at the cantina just getting drunk all the time? Like these are the things I think of sometimes, like when I'm planning the show. Now, I do have to address another elephant in the room here, and that is Order 66. And I'm going to pose this question to all of you while I ask this question and give you my opinion on this. Is Order 66 becoming less impactful the more that we see it? I know, like I was talking to my wife about it and she was saying, well, Order 66 is like this is a very impactful thing. I still cry when I see it. And I get it. It's a very emotional moment. And it's a huge historical moment for the Star Wars universe. However, we have seen it so much lately in the last 5 to 6 years that honestly, I'm getting tired of seeing it. Like, I get where you're coming from. I get that all to you it can be compared to Wolf 359 in Star Trek. Yes. It can be compared to Wolf 359 in Star Trek. It can be referenced, but seeing it all the time, we don't need it. Exactly. Oh, and Amanda, Wolf 359 was an inside job. That's all I'm going to say. Um, if you've watched Lower Decks, you will get that joke. Um, but anyway, I also see it as like the equivalent. Um, I also see it as like the equivalent of watching Thomas and Martha Wayne constantly die in a Batman movie. Like, I don't need to see that. I don't. I get it. Bruce Wayne's parents died. It's what helped drive him to become Batman. I get it. Don't need to see it all the time. That's why I'm very happy we didn't see it in the Robert Pattinson Batman movie. We saw the beginnings of it at the end of Joker, but that's a whole nother story. But you don't need to constantly show Order 66. Ian, you're right. You're right. It's like Uncle Ben. It's like watching Uncle Ben die over and over again. I'm just, I get it. I mean, I will say this. I am happy to see the people that have survived Order 66, but enough is enough when it comes to constantly showing it. I mean, what do you all think? I've been told to shut my mouth. I told you this was going to be controversial. Told you. I asked the hard hitting questions as a Star Wars journalist. I asked the hardest hitting questions. I'm just gonna wait for you guys to weigh in. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody agrees with me. Apparently we're wrong. Uh but no, seriously. I don't mind if you show it every once in a while, but come on. Let me see what Ian says. I kind of agree, but I like the inclusion in Baby Yoda's backstory. No, I get it. I I I totally get that it is necessary for his backstory. It is. I'm not dismissing it. I'm just like I said, I'm just burnt out seeing it. which is why I'm like more invested in the High Republic than I am, and like the sequel trilogy, than I am like this the end of the prequels. Like, and don't get me wrong, like I know that I wasn't going to talk about this due to the whole whitewashing thing that they're doing with these characters, but I am watching The Bad Batch and I am enjoying it. Like it's really really good because they're actually like focusing on the clones, and I think they're planting the seeds for the clone rebellion. But anyway, that to me is more interesting than Order 66. Um the High Republic to me is more interesting than Order 66. The Rise of the First Order is more interesting than that to me. That's just me. Now I will say this. I think um we are definitely getting, I mean, well, there's no I think about it. We are definitely getting the setup for the sequel trilogy with this show. And we're going to see it in Ahsoka, and we're going to see it in Skeleton Crew as well. The First Order's coming. Just wait. Let me see here. I'm still behind on everything, so I haven't hit Order 66 saturation yet. Okay, Ian, that's fair. That is fair. You'll get there. You'll get there. Actually, it might not be as impactful. Like you may not feel like the fatigue like I do. I'm also looking at it as it's kind of like MCU fatigue to me, where like I'm so burnt out on the MCU. Like the only MCU movie I'm going to go see in theaters right now is Guardians, because I want to see how Rocket's story ends, and I want to see how the rest of the Guardians story ends. More like the worst order. Yeah, I mean they are pretty terrible people. Like, come on, yeah. They are pretty terrible. But yeah. So those are my thoughts on the Mandalorian. I am really enjoying this season. I think it's very well done. I think it's super exciting. And if you're hearing a bunch of notifications going off, that's the Lorcana Discord server that's just blowing up right now. I don't know why. Uh, no, no, they're just talking about deck configurations, like of what kind of decks they want to build. Um, anyway, I don't think we'll see an announcement until Gen Con, honestly, for Lorcana. We're not going to see another big announcement till Gen Con. So yeah, that is that. Let me just mute this real quick while I finish up my show. I'm sorry, I should have muted this earlier. But I'm digging this season. I'm loving it. I think it's great. They are starting to set up so many incredible things that by the end of the season, something big is going to happen, and it's going to be huge. I think by the end of this season, we're going to see Thrawn and Ezra. Uh, and then we'll have to wait until the Ahsoka show to like really see what they've been up to. But we're going to see Sabine, and we're going to see Thrawn and Ezra by the end of this season of The Mandalorian to set up the Ahsoka show. I'm also thinking, because Skeleton Crew is taking place during this time period too, we're probably going to get a backdoor pilot for Skeleton Crew at some point. Because keep in mind, they backdoor piloted the Ahsoka show in season 2 of The Mandalorian with the episode The Jedi. They further backdoor piloted it with the Book of Boba Fett. So they are establishing that Ahsoka show. So I wouldn't be surprised. So I wouldn't be surprised when we see that. I wouldn't be surprised if we got to see Skeleton Crew. Luke, when Ian, Book of Boba Fett. Season Mandalorian season 2 finale, and then Book of Boba Fett, and you'll see. Seriously, I have many thoughts that a lot of people know how I feel about the Book of Boba Fett. It's still a fun show. It's an exciting show, but they did some stuff that I did not agree with in that show. Yes, Luke is in episodes 6 and 7 of Book of Boba Fett. So just keep that in mind. Because you'll see. You'll see. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Really digging this. Think it's a lot of fun. I think that this season is going to the rest of the season is going to blow people away. We have well, okay. So you're partway in. Are you partway into Book of Boba Fett, and you're kind of meh on it, or like season 2 of The Mandalorian, and you're kind of meh on it? Amanda, you can leave with that thought. The best episodes of the Book of Boba Fett were not the ones with Luke and Mando in it. No, 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 no. The best one was the train episode, like a bantha. Okay, Ian, you're gonna get there. Just embrace the absurdity and the fun of Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, I mean, okay, okay. Let's talk about this. If we're talking about Book of Boba Fett, let's talk about Book of Boba Fett. Okay, let's talk about this. The Book of Boba Fett. Ian, I'm not going to try to spoil this for you. I will say this. The stuff involving Boba Fett and Fennec Shand and the crap going down on Tatooine, I love. The stuff that ties into the criminal underworld, I love. I could not stand the fact that we had to go and deal with Luke Skywalker training Grogu in the Book of Boba Fett. If anything, I've said this before and I'll say this again, and I'll double down on this. While I am enjoying seeing Grogu in this season of The Mandalorian, his story ended in season 2 of The Mandalorian. Yes, Matt Berry is a treasure in the Book of Boba Fett. But Grogu's story ended when he went with Luke. And there should have been more time between Grogu going back to Din. Like, we should have seen the whole reunion go down a couple of seasons down the line. Because to me, having Grogu meet up with Din Djarin so close to the Mando season 2 finale, and I know Favreau and Filoni have said that Grogu trained with Luke for 2 years. However, to us, it's a shorter amount of time. And to me, like, the impact isn't as good there. I mean, the impact isn't there. Because if anything, Din Djarin should have just been helping Boba Fett do his crap and not worry about Grogu. And in this, Din Djarin helps Boba Fett with the shit going down on Tatooine, but Grogu's involved as well. So to me, that's less of an impact on the overall story. And I get it. Book of Boba Fett is marketed as Mando 2.5, and it's pretty much the season 3 premiere of The Mandalorian essentially. But in a show about Boba Fett, you do a very good job sidelining your main character. So I'm warning you right now, Ian, he's going to get sidelined for a while. Yeah, that's what I just said. That it's Mando 2.5. So, there is all of that. Can we talk about the real tragedy of the Book of Boba Fett though? And that is there's that. Actually, there's four characters that weren't used enough. Fennec Shand definitely wasn't used enough in the Book of Boba Fett. Uh, Danny Trejo's Rancor trainer definitely wasn't used enough in the Book of Boba Fett. The Major Domo was pretty funny. Okay, I will say this. I love Go-Go Vesper Rangers. I think that that's a great sequence because of how ridiculous it is. Jennifer Beal wasn't used enough either. No, she wasn't. Neither was Max Rebo. Max Rebo wasn't used enough either, if we're talking about real secondary characters. Cad Bane wasn't utilized enough, and he's the main villain of the show. And Cobb Vanth wasn't utilized enough either. Cobb Vanth is not dead. He's in the back to tank. He not dead. Cobb Vanth. It's Cobb Mother effing Vanth. He can't die. My God. But Cobb Vanth is you know what? Cobb Vanth is a treasure. And a book character to make a live action debut. Just saying. So just keep that in mind with the Book of Boba Fett. Just go in with an open mind. Just enjoy it. And just sit back for the ride. Because it kind of is Mando 2.5. So that's all I have to say about that. Anybody else have any other thoughts before I wrap this up? And I go back to playing Sea of Thieves for Community Day. Or I might actually go through another playthrough of Fallen Order. Just saying. Uh, yes, the Gamorrean guards were turned into very likable characters. Yes, that is true. Oh, Black Chrysanthemum not utilized enough in the Book of Boba Fett either. I love Black Chrysanthemum. Such a great character. I also was hoping, because we saw Chrysanthemum, I was hoping to see Dr. Aphra. I'm still holding out hope for Dr. Aphra, honestly. I really hope she gets a mini series or something on Disney Plus because she's an amazing character. And you know what? I would love to see the team from Bounty Hunters get their own Disney Plus stuff because I love Valance and Bosk and Forlom and Zuckuss and all those guys. So you want a Book of Fennec Shand? Oh, Book of Fennec Shand would be so badass. You know what? You know what? Book of Fennec Shand would be live action Mulan. Because she was Mulan in the animated. But anyway. But yes, Book of Fennec Shand would be a lot of fun. Like, seriously. I'd watch a Fennec Shand show. I would watch that with Cobb Vanth. Now, a lot of people have said, well, what about Rangers of the New Republic? Rangers of the New Republic is still shelved right now because of the whole Gina Carpaccio situation, because I don't want to say her full name, because I don't want people coming after me. But because of her bullshit, pardon my language, they shelved that show. However, you could do Rangers of the New Republic around Carson Teva, Cobb Vanth, and Harrison Dula. Like, you could totally do Rangers of the New Republic with them. In fact, I think Cobb Vanth is actually going to become the Marshal of Navarro because Grief Karga is looking for a marshal. Just saying. So there's all of that. But I'm telling you, they are setting up the sequel trilogy in this show. And for those of you that are saying, "Oh no, they're just going to retcon the sequel trilogy. That's what they're going to do." No, no, they're not. This we have Monsters University on in the background. I apologize. But yeah, like, we're getting to the sequel trilogy. This is setting up the sequel trilogy. So you sequel trilogy haters, yeah, too bad, so sad. Like, I've said this before. My dad has said this. Cry me a river, build me a bridge, and get over it. Like, seriously, just get over it. Because honestly, the sequels are here to stay, regardless of how you feel. It's happening. So, Elia Kane. Okay, so I'll answer a couple of other questions and then we'll wrap things up. Elia Kane is either working for Thrawn or she's working for the First Order. But I'm going to tell you right now, she is not working for a prototype of the Resistance, and she is definitely not Omega without the accent. Because I have seen some people say that she is Omega. Sequel trilogy was way better than the prequels, in my opinion. You know what, Ian? I I love the prequel trilogy, but I got to tell you, the sequel trilogy is definitely near and dear, closer in my heart than the prequel trilogy. I love the sequel trilogy. I really do. And I love the fact that you have a theme park at Disney World and Disneyland that is set in the sequel trilogy. Love it. However, I wish they had High Republic stuff, but one can dream. I will say this, Ian, read the High Republic. You'll love it. And you know what? Your wife will love the High Republic as well. She really will. Um, yeah, so that's that's what I got. She's either working for Thrawn or the First Order. I can't see her working for Gideon unless Gideon is working for the First Order. And I can't see her being part of a prototype resistance or even being Omega, like I said, because honestly, if they go that route with being like, "Oh, she was Omega all along," what? That would be so stupid. I mean, it's not as stupid as somehow Palpatine returned, but according to sequel trilogy haters that are like, "Oh, I hate that line. Somehow Palpatine returned." Anyway, I'm bashing on people tonight. I don't know what's going on with me. I'm punchy. It's been a long week. But that's what I've got for this week. I'm actually going to be hanging out in voice chat in about half an hour or so after the show. So about 9:45 or so. I'm going to be hanging out in voice chat if anybody wants to hang out in our Discord server. So, yeah, that is it for our live show this week. Expect some more transmission bursts this week as well. I've got to do some review stuff and everything. But as we're getting news this week, expect some more transmission bursts, which are our short-term audio things, our audio logs. And if we get more Lorcana news, which I have a feeling we will, just expect to get a lot of bursts about that. Do we? Okay, last question. Do we think we'll see Nagiri and more heir to the Empire stuff soon? I don't think so because Timothy Zahn. I mean, so heir to the Empire doesn't count as canon anymore. However, they have borrowed from heir to the Empire quite a bit. Um, or yeah, Nagri. N- I can't. Um, so we could see bits and pieces of that. However, they're really trying to establish Thrawn as not that heir to the Empire Thrawn. They're trying to establish him more as kind of a middleman in a way because in Thrawn Ascendancy you really see Thrawn, which is a prequel trilogy to the current canon Thrawn trilogy. So there's actually two canon Thrawn trilogies right now. Um One called the Ascendancy trilogy, and then the other one is Thrawn Alliances, and Thrawn Treason. Which I got to tell you, all six books are great. However, they're really trying to show Thrawn as more of a person that's trying to protect his people more than trying to fight for the Empire. He believes that if he aligns himself with the Empire, he'll be able to provide protection to the Chiss Ascendancy. So he doesn't accept what Palpatine does. In fact, he actually he condones it quite a bit. But the thing is that in order to save his people and to take out the threat of the Grisks, which are attacking the Ascendancy, he has to be a part of the Empire. And that's after he gets exiled by the Ascendancy and by his own family. So we're going to see Thrawn, but we're not going to see heir to the Empire Thrawn. We're still going to see brilliant tactician Thrawn because that's what we've gotten in Rebels and that's what we've gotten in these six books. However, you're not going to see ruthless heir to the Empire Thrawn. This is a Thrawn in these six books and in Rebels that actually shows mercy and quite a bit of mercy as well. So just keep that in mind when speculating about Thrawn because some people there have been quite a bit of arguments recently on whether or not Thrawn is a bad guy. Um actually talked to Timothy Zahn about this at AwesomeCon last year. We talked about Thrawn and he didn't see Thrawn as a bad guy. He just saw Thrawn as somebody that's trying to do what's best for the greater good of the Chiss Ascendancy. So, like I said, don't expect a lot of heir to the Empire. You'll get some of it, but don't expect a lot of it, honestly. Um, Nagri, I don't know. I don't know. Because they didn't really set them up in Rebels, and Zahn didn't really set them up in any of his books. So that's just something that you have to keep in mind. This is also still a wild era for storytelling as well because we still have yeah, morally ambiguous Thrawn is great actually. He's really great because like I said, he's just doing it for the ascendancy. He's doing it for the survival of his people. Um because ultimately that's his goal. And he's not afraid to form alliances, which is what that Thrawn Alliances book is about. Because in that book, they actually flash back quite a bit to him spending time with Anakin Skywalker during the Clone Wars when Anakin was searching for Padme, starting with the planet Batuu. It's like everything goes back to Galaxy's Edge here. So that's just something that I, it it's really cool. I also suggest all 6 of those Thrawn books, honestly. I will tell you this, the Ascendancy trilogy, the first book's pretty quick. The second book and the third book are close. Second book's over 450 pages. Third book is over 500 pages. But it's really interesting. there's a lot of military tactics and everything, but it's a lot about politics as well. So you'll just have to you're going to get a lot of politics with Thrawn. Yeah, I think we're going to see an abandoned fleet of ships, but I think that that's going to be more about the creation of the First Order. So like I think we're going to get that, but it's more going to be about the creation of the First Order. I think when we see Thrawn though, he's going to be with Ezra and it's going to be in the unknown regions. I think Thrawn's taking Ezra back to the Chiss Ascendancy. Honestly, that's that's what I'm thinking is going to go down. As like I said, with the abandoned fleet of ships, I think that's going to be more First Order oriented um, than it is going to be Heir to the Empire. But I could be wrong too, so we don't know. Um, but yeah, that that is actually going to be it for me tonight. If you want, you can join us in our Discord voice channel in about 25 minutes. And, we'll talk Star Wars and hang out and just goof off and have a good time. So if you want to join us for that, you are more than welcome to. Like I said, keep an ear out for our audio transmissions bursts, as well as stay tuned for next week. It would be a great first order story. But stay tuned for next week as I am going to have possibly Ali Graz back to talk more Mandalorian as well as her thoughts on Kelleran Beck. And it looks like Ira is going to be making her return as well next week. So we're going to be looking forward to that. Also, if you want to join our team and join us here on the show, shoot us a DM on Twitter. Also, shoot me a DM on Discord and we will we'll make it happen. So until next time, I hope that you have a wonderful week. Ian, Farm Boy, Amanda, everybody else, thank you for joining me. Ian, Eve says hi. Thank you for joining me once again, and I hope that you have a wonderful week. Remember, always fight for light in life. May the force always be with you. And remember, at the end of the day, my friends, we are all the Republic. We'll see you next week. Bye.